I mean, bearing in mind that it was 54 against 46 for on your members voting for or against the Agenda for Change deal, are you hopeful that you're going to get a successful reballot vote?
What I'm hoping for is a resolution to the current dispute. It was a sorry and sad state of affairs for any government to take their nurses to court.
Neither of you are called a union, but both of you are acting very much like a trade union.
May I correct you if that's okay? We
Please.
are a special trade union and we have special trade union status, and if the only way they can get listened to is through industrial action, then I would suggest that may be the only case. This is about the long-term plans within the NHS. It might put money in my pocket, but it's not going to address the recruitment and retention issues as we move forward.
If I could start with you, Pat. Obviously, the Staff Council last week made its decision. Ministerial direction today has implemented the Agenda for Change agreement. Are you now quite isolated among health unions because you recommended this to your members and they've thrown it back at you? So are you quite isolated now, the RCN?
No, Chair, I wouldn't agree with that at all.
Why not?
Well, the 300,000 nurses that I represent in the NHS have made it very clear that this offer does not meet the requirements that they have put forward. And whilst we did recommend it, and let's be clear, the ruling council of the Royal College of Nursing did recommend the offer because there were elements of that offer that actually we still want to continue to pursue with the government. For example, one of the key areas that our nursing staff have constantly raised as part of this dispute is around safe nurse staffing. And the safe nurse staffing framework that we were able to negotiate as part of the framework, we've asked very clearly we want to have left on the table. We've also heard from our NHS representatives that have just spoken to say that the Agenda for Change framework is not fit for purpose. It's out of date, it's 24 years old, and the people that have done least well out of that are our nursing staff, because the majority of our nursing staff sit in the lowest band within Agenda for Change. In fact, 62% of them, and they remain there, Chair, for probably the most of their career, and they don't have any opportunity to move forward. Now, we put that to our members because it was not for me to actually take a gamble with the money that was put on the table for our members as well. But we did have the largest turnout in the ballot, and whilst it was close, the majority of our members rejected the offer because they said that the one-off payment was, in their words, quite a cruel thing to do, to give them money this year as a one-off bonus and actually then remove it from their pay packets next year, and they were back to where they started. And the 5% is well below inflation, so it doesn't meet the requirements in relation to the long-term issues that we've got within the profession around recruitment and retention. So in many ways it was selfless of those people that voted in that ballot, because what they were saying is this is about the long-term plans within the NHS. It might put money in my pocket, but it's not going to address the recruitment and retention issues as we move forward.
Okay, so when it comes to the legal dispute, was it only last week? No, it was probably the week before, wasn't it?
It was like last week.
They merge into one. The legal dispute, you said that it wasn't for you to gamble with that money, but you know, if we look at what the judge said in that case, he ordered you to pay £35,000 costs for that hearing. He said the union had showed a high degree of unreasonableness. These are quite unusual words from a judge. He said the outcome was inevitable, and instead of grasping the nettle and conceding, the RCN had forced the case to court. So who's going to pay £35,000? Because that's coming out of your members' subs, right?
Well, I want to correct that, Chair, because it's not. It would be coming out of other monies within the college, but it's certainly not coming out of our members. Well, we have a lot of commercial income, and that's where it will. So there's a distinction in terms of our income within the college, but that's neither here nor there. I think it was a sorry and sad state of affairs for any government to take their nurses to court. And we did describe it as a dark day, Chair. But
I heard you say that, yes.
Yes, it was a dark day. But what I would say is that the government's own act and the explanatory notes are at odds with each other. But let's not go into that now. But let me tell you where I'm sitting with this. The dispute was around over 20 hours. And if you look at what happened in Scotland and Wales, both Scotland and Wales granted a 3-month extension for our members to continue their action, whilst this government disputed the 20 hours. But we moved on. We certainly did not take action outside the legal parameters that are set for us, and our members worked within that, and they'll continue to do that because we are now about to embark on our second 6 months of mandated strike. So I'll ballot members on the 23rd of May for the next period of 6 months if we cannot get a resolution to the current dispute that our members have.
Well, yeah, if. So we'll come on to that ballot in a minute. When was the last time you personally were in a room with the Secretary of State?
Well, I wrote again to the Secretary of State last week, and I am again urging the Secretary...
You wrote to him, you say?
Yes, to ask for a meeting. So I'm waiting patiently for that meeting to happen.
Okay, that's still to happen. When was the last time you were actually in that room together?
It was at the end of the negotiations, which I was involved in for the first week.
Right. So why do you think then that the others, I mean, Unison, Royal College of Midwives, Chartered Society of Physiotherapy, GMB Union, why did they accept it and unite and the Royal College of Nursing didn't?
Look, I respect those members, Chair. And
are they wrong?
They will all have their own reasons for doing it. What I'm here today to talk about is that it didn't meet the requirements of the 300,000 nurses that I represent. And I respect their decisions. And again, you have to look at two of the largest of the three unions in the NHS Staff Council, ourselves and Unite, rejected the pay offer, or our members did. So that's the position we are in.
You wish they hadn't?
No, I trust our members impeccably. I think as a nurse, alongside my colleagues, I believe they always make the right decision. They believe that deal wasn't fair and reasonable. They accept alongside me that there were some elements of it that we wish to take forward, but in terms of pay, it does not address the issues that I've just talked about.
Yeah, but of course that deal is going to appear in pay packets, isn't it? Because it's been imposed.
It is going to appear
Staff
in pay
Council have
packets.
voted for it.
Yes, that's right. And we've said as well to government and urged government as a Royal College to take nothing off the table, please add to it. Yeah. And that's what we need to do to resolve this dispute.
On the strike act, the thresholds and the voting for your threshold, the BMJ said 102 of 215 trusts reached the turnout threshold. I mean, that's it's not even half, is it? Now you're going for a national ballot, I understand. I'm not sure why you didn't in the first place, but anyway, I'm sure there are reasons. But are you hopeful? I mean, bearing in mind that it was 54 against 46 for on your members voting for or against the Gender for Change deal, are you hopeful that you're going to get a successful reballot vote?
What I'm hoping for is a resolution to the current dispute. That's really, really important. And if we get a resolution to the current dispute, then we wouldn't see our nursing staff having to take to picket lines again.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of my hours out with our nurses on picket lines, Chair, and their stories are harrowing. These people, they're not villains. They're actually desperate to try and sort out the real problems that are within the NHS, and they're wanting to address the real problems we've got within the profession, to do the very things that our NHS reps before us talked about, getting people treated in a timely fashion and being able to get back into their work and look after their patients.
I don't recall anybody saying that your members were villains. Nobody around this table has ever said that. I've never heard anybody say they're villains. But the question I asked you is, are you confident that you will get a successful ballot, national ballot for strike action?
Well, that will be entirely up to our members. What I'm saying, Chair, is that I think if you were to test the temperature for the mood within nursing staff, they feel in desperation for someone to listen to them. And if the only way they can get listened to is through industrial action, then I would suggest that may be the only case.
But almost half of them voted to accept the deal and move on.
Well,
so why would they vote for more strike action? It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Well, over half rejected the deal.
Sure.
And we had the highest turnout in that ballot that we've had in the history of the Royal College of Nursing. So we can't ignore their voice, nor can we ignore the 46% who, for all their own individual reasons, accepted that pay offer. And I talked to many of those people who were actually taking industrial action at the end of April and beginning of May. And we can't ignore their voice either. But let's take them all with us and do the right thing for them.
Okay. And just finally, because we're going to open it up to colleagues, both of you, neither of you are the Royal College of Nursing, the British Medical Association. Neither of you are called a union, but both of you are acting very much like a trade union. Is there a case, Pat Cullen, for some sort of split within the RCN that separates out the professional body side of what you do and the trade union side of what you do? Because what I see and hear of you right now, it sounds very trade union.
Chair, may I correct you if that's okay? We
Please.
are a special trade union and we have special trade union status, and we're very proud to be a professional organisation as well. And that's why, if you look at the underlying principles of the dispute that our nurses have taken forward, it is around safe nurse staffing and being able to ultimately move to safe nurse staffing legislation. So the two arms of our Royal College are what I describe as conjoined twins, and both survive as one, and one's as important as the other, and one doesn't trump the other.
Okay, fine. You're perfectly entitled to correct me. Many do.